Hey everybody, Ted here from Mob Rules. So a little while ago, I was picking up all those old kits like I was talking to you about, and I'm trying to find like some way to give myself some more beef and some more punch. So I think like my Iron Hands are just like they're not quite there. They got some staying power, but they don't have a whole lot of pow. So what I did was I picked up a Castellax. Castellax. I got a few of them, but with the dark cannons. But I wanted something a little bit different. Like it was kind of cool to have those. They kind of soften up some really tough armor. But I wanted something that would just like eat Marines. So I went and this is the power blade version with the Multi-Melta. So let's take a look at it and kind of see what we can do with it. All right. There we go, the little bitty bag. Alright, so it's a tiny kit this time. No Land Raiders or anything big and fancy like that. So, yeah. Alright, we've got our instructions. Typical photocopy. Packing slip. We all know how to work with resin. I hope. I'm still kind of figuring it out. Alright, so let's take a look. What do we have here? So here's your base, your big duder, and that was when these first came out. I think this was kind of like one of the first Mechanicus kits. So they were kind of just dipping their toe into that, and they had this sarcophagus kind of feel. I didn't quite know what to think about it. Like it's not like there's any optics there. I didn't fully get it. But now that I'm looking at things and I'm seeing like this kind of repeat over and over and over, it's kind of neat. Like it's that piece that kind of ties it all together. I think it was my Atropos that I think like really drove it home. It was like, I get it. Okay. So here we are, and it's got little Space Marine venti bits. So, like I think we're kind of past like at this point in the design kits or the Forgeable design, like back in the day they had, there's a lot of repetition, but they were like kind of kit bashing everything as they went. But at this point we've kind of gotten away from that, but still these elements. So I dig that they keep that continuity. So there's that continuity. So anyway, this has kind of like a weird way of going about the torso. It's actually 3 pieces kind of. Actually it's like 4. But yeah, we have this kind of, I don't know, lower torso, upper torso, head, shoulders kind of thing. And then there's like the lower, like the pelvis. But then I think there's like a little a servitor head that goes in there. So it just kind of like rides in the belly a little bit. It kind of reminds me of Total Recall, like the original one, where there's like that little guy inside the dude's belly and he just kind of carried him around. So anyway, so that's that. There's not a whole lot of things that you could pose ability to it. I think like this ends up, the skull ends up almost like butting up against the back of of the inner torso on that little carriage. And so it's kind of hard to do much with it. It's kind of like, there it is, it fits perfectly in there and that's it. And then once you fit this into here, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room. It's kind of just there. And then you put the torso on. Now the hips, that's where you're getting a little bit of play. So if you want some like flexibility, it's not going to be in the lower torso or in the upper torso combo, even though there's like a ball and socket. It's going to be in the hips. So not much posability, but there's some. Lots of little parts. So there's the great detail, I think, is kind of the key here. Let's see, we have the Multi-Melta. I think it's kind of interesting because like you start to look at like the Astartes Multi-Meltas, and there's like these little like fins, like each a barrel is separated. The housing isn't the typical like housing, like that we see in 40K, where it's like one big shroud. But maybe this is like this is the future of 40K, like the Mechanicum are kind of leading the way. So maybe that's the case. I don't know. Or I guess maybe like a lot of the Multi-Meltas we see these days are Mars pattern. Let's see. So what else do we have here? So I think this is the power for the Multi-Melta. These little guys go on the arms. This is kind of fun. There's 3 different feet. They're pretty similar. I think there's kind of like a left and right, and then there's one where you're almost the back of the heel. Yeah, the heel is kind of raised just ever so slightly. So I think you can almost do like a walking kind of a thing. You see how it's like flat, and then you have like this little raised bit. So it's these subtle little things. Like, I don't think this kit isn't like super mutable. Like there's not a whole lot of flex to it. There's just like the nuances. I don't know. Part of me is like, why bother if you're not going to let us maneuver it around too much? Oops. There we go. Saved you. So let's see. Then we have our cable to the Multi-Melta. So here's. I don't mean to be salty about this kit. Like it's a beautiful kit. I really dig it. But I think there's some parts where I'm just like, gosh, I wish that was done a little bit different. And I think the legs is kind of one of those parts. Because like, what I kind of found or felt with these guys is that because they're all one piece, like you basically have left foot forward, right foot back. It's it's your Imperial Knight for the most part. Like it's one pose. So I just kind of wish that there was like a little bit like a joint in here or something that we could play with. I mean, I think the thing is with this is like there's so much detail in here. Kind of like what I was talking about with the Immortals is like you have so much detail that it's hard to get like that modularity to it. You either have a ton of detail or you have a kit that's universal. You know what I'm saying? Like where you have all your options. So it's just that like. So I'm gonna try and find some way maybe of like chopping this up so I can get like more of a running pose because I want to do Paradigm of Metal. Like I want this guy to be like running in there with like Rampage and whatever else, just eating dudes with It Will Not Die and everything. So I don't want him kind of like walking slowly into battle, all right, so I think there's like 3 gun weapons or options. I believe maybe it's only 2. I don't know. If there's 3, there's only 2 here, and that's your twin flamers and your combi bolters. It's kind of an interesting. I think like when I first looked at this, I'm like a typical male, like, how do we put this together? Put it. Oh, I put it together wrong. All right, may as well go look at the instructions. But it kind of took a little bit, and I did have to, take a look at the instructions just because like things didn't seem to be as cohesive. So you end up like having to put the arms. Let's see, where are the arm bits? So you had to like put the arms. Okay, yeah. So you had to kind of like work it all together. You had to kind of like almost start at the shoulder and work your way out. And then these kind of claps around things. And there was just like follow the instructions. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. But yeah, you do have the option. I don't think there's a whole lot of like you can probably magnetize them, but they're kind of flimsy. So you get really tiny magnets. So this is kind of interesting. I thought that there was like, despite the fact that the legs don't have a whole lot of posing options, the arms have a ton. It's really bizarre in a lot of ways. Like, and it's a lot of the shoulder actually is the place where you're going to get a lot of your changeability. The elbow's pretty much fixed the way it's going to be, but then you end up like you cut this piece, and then you take out that little chunk that connects it, and then this part sockets into here, which turns around and then sockets, like that ball socket goes in here, which becomes like a bit of a shoulder piece, a sub shoulder, in kind of like a cataphractii Terminator kind of way into this guy. So there's 3 pieces before you're done with the shoulder, before you're done with one shoulder. But it's really kind of fun. Like I think like as a modeler, I enjoyed like that extra weird thing. It was like kind of made it unique. So that's kind of that, and definitely like start with the shoulder out, but also have like the pose you want in mind as you're doing it. Okay, so here for example, like I put this guy together. He is your dark your dark cannon, but I tried to have him kind of like grabbing a tree and like bracing himself. Sorry, it's really dark, but like that was one of the things I put together a few of them. You really only have like 2 options for the hands. So I ended up like having both open arms or hands here. But anyway, so like I wanted to have it grabbing there. So I had to really make sure that everything lined up as I'm gluing it and putting it in there. So it all worked out. Also, going back to the cable, you're going to have to do a lot of like hot resin work, like get your boiling water, and you're really going to have to make sure this thing like kind of fits exactly the way you want it. And be okay with that and just be gentle with it. I know I kind of rush things so many times. I ended up like breaking this guy. I don't think it was this one. I think it was another one, but I ended up having to like do some modeling to really make that happen, to make it look right. So now we're into this is kind of fun. Like I'm really one of the things I loved about this aesthetic, and it kind of had this like orky kind of feel, and it's just that it's the power blades. So you get this like what is it? Strength 6. It's whatever your natural strength is, which is 6. AP2 rending. Unlike all the other weapons for this guy, this actually gives you like a +1 to your attack. So that was kind of my thing. Is like, all right, now I can run in there and like I get extra attacks, I get rampage, and etc. etc. And I can start mopping. So yeah, I really dig it. Like I was saying, it has this like orky feel, but it's kind of fun. Like you have this like geary inner center while your rippy outer parts. But I was thinking about it, and I think I might actually want to go with a siege wrecker, which they don't have a model for. And that's fine. I think I might just like the Centurion, who put together the drills for that, right? So we have tons of those laying around. So I might do something like that. I saw somebody else do something to that effect. I haven't seen too many options. So if you've seen some really good like siege wrecker bits out there for the Castellax, like some customs, like post them. Like I would love to see them, or maybe there's another video or something that I just so missed because I used the wrong keyword. So that'd be rad. Honestly, I think that's about it. I mean, it's a really basic kit. It's a lot of fun to put together, guys. Like seriously, it's a blast to put together. It's my 4th one. I might try to get another one because I don't think I want the Multi-Melta. I just want to go hand to hand. So I'm gonna streamline it as much as I can. And I know I'm not done painting this guy, but I mean, I just the details are just amazing. Like I'm super happy with like all the little bits and bobs and interesting bits of this thing. It's and just like the funky way you put together the arms. Like I said, I wish there was something different we could do with the legs. Just go out there and buy a bunch of kits, and so you could like have both leg forwards in the same one or whatever. There is some modding you might have to do with the feet if you really want to get custom with that, just to kind of like break it up so it's not just like a bunch of your Castellax standing in a line like pointing one arm forward and like shooting or whatever. So but anyway, so that's about it. I'm gonna try and get some newer kits. I'm kind of going through like the older stuff, waiting for some new stuff to show up. So look forward to that. Like we'll be doing some fresh things instead of just like the old things that everybody's seen on the table for a while. But yeah, keep it posted. There should be something every Wednesday. So whether it's plastic, resin, or a book, we'll get you something to look at. All right. Make sure to check out the podcast, link down below, and we got more content coming for you. We're at the beginning of a new Mob Rules era. All right, take care, guys.